Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with Hunter x Hunter. We're on episode 97, and in the last episode we had a really cool episode actually, because it featured only the Phantom Troop. They went back to Meteor City because they heard about these little, the shit going down with the Chimera ants and whatnot, and they were taking over Meteor City. So a bunch of the Phantom Troop went back to sort of save their sort of hometown in a way, and we got to see some really cool abilities from some of them as well, especially Shalnark. His was nuts. His was going Super Saiyan, and people were saying that he looks that he transformed into Trunks essentially, and yes, I definitely see that. Also, I didn't even write down his name, and now I've completely forgotten. Bonlenov, something like that. Anyway, him, yeah, he was cool as well. Like I said in the post discussion for last episode, that I felt like, when we first were introduced to that character, I mean, we were barely introduced to him, and he seemed like the most background member of the Phantom Troop. But after seeing him, what he can actually do, it's a pretty cool ability with the holes and able to produce sound to disorientate the enemy and stuff. It's really cool. So yeah, the Queen Scorpion, still can't remember her name, but you can guess who she is by the fact that she's called a Queen Scorpion, is able to use an ability called the Sexy Stinger of Rebirth, which is essentially another way of making Chimera ants. As opposed to birthing them, she injects them with her stinger and turns them into Chimera ants that way. I don't know if it's a case of it fucks with their brain, if she were to sting like a human and then they transform into a Chimera ant, if it forces them to her will. I think it must do, right? It has to. Yeah, it has to, because they wouldn't, But I imagine it's worse doing it that way as opposed to being birthed, because even though Chimera ants, when they were birthed, they still retained something from what they were beforehand. I feel like this way, I feel like it's worse because I feel like they're still in there somehow, and they're sort of traumatized of what they are, but they're bound to sort of to her will kind of thing. So I think it's worse that way. But yeah, I mean that's all we basically had was one-on-ones with the Phantom Troop and some of the Chimera ants. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this episode. I'm hoping that we get a showdown and sort of just kill off the Queen, and see what other abilities the other guys have to offer. And also, yeah, I forgot that Kaluto was a boy as well. I remember being told that back when we met him, all the way back, in episode 20 something. But yeah, it just, because it's been that long, I kind of forgot. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about, so we're just going to get in episode 97 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 97, right, so yeah, we basically just, I guess, ended that little mini arc with the Phantom Troop that we just had there, where we got to sort of cheer for them a bit, because like I said previously in the last episode, post discussion, that it's nice. I always like it when you see two of the sort of main characters' enemies have to fight each other, because then it forces you into a side of well, who do you root for kind of thing, and yeah, that was really really cool to see. So yeah, I really enjoyed these last two episodes. I'm really liking Finks as well, to be honest. I think he has this sort of the character, and I think he's the character within the group that is what's the word, sort of, I don't know, noble, I guess, because he keeps doing these things of, I like the way that he holds himself. He has this exterior, and he sort of puts himself across he's this sort of this angry, really evil dude. In that regard, it's sort of similar to Knuckle, because Knuckle put on that face of being sort of this bully kind of character, but in reality he's got a heart of gold. And I almost see Finks as the same way, because he grabbed Kaluto to get out of the way of Phaeton's like sun blast, pain packer thing, whatever the hell it was, heat of the sun. He gave Shizuku his robe because obviously Shizuku's clothes had been ripped and came off and all that good stuff. And I think he was the one that was that sort of called a truce between the Phantom Troop and like Gon and Killua and stuff after Pakanoda died. I think he was the one that like that carried on Pakanoda's message and stuff. So I, you know, the fact is that they do evil things. They do have some sort of like noble causes and things. Like the other one as well in this episode was, you know, like I don't do mercy killings. Like, you know, you lived here, defend your home kind of thing. And it's, you know, it's just mirroring exactly what they were doing when they went to Meteor City to, you know, to defend their home against these Chimera ants and whatnot. I did say during the reaction that it's that one-sided. They may as well have just mercy killed them, but that's not the point. I get the, you know, I get the incentive to you know, because he was like, I feel like it was like a sort of double entendre kind of meaning that he was saying there. It's like, you know, you lived here, right? I think it's that thing of, well, you were transformed into a Chimera ant and you lived here in this castle under this, you know, so defend your home. But also because in the grander scheme of things, it's within, like the sort of the castle hive thing is within Meteor City because they were Meteor City residents, and it's you know, I feel like there was a sort of like an inkling of sadness within the Phantom Troop there, just because of the fact that they are, you know, like that's their people in a way, you know, they grew up in the same place, so, you know. So yeah, it's cool to sort of get those little, like, those moments with another group, because like I say, once they come back together, like, you know, Gon, Killua and Kurapika and everything up against the Phantom Troop again, it's just gonna mean that much more. So yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, it was Zaza, and that was the fucking name of the, you know, I mean, I wrote down their names once, but then it rarely ever came back up again. Like, their characters didn't really shine or anything. Obviously, they were waiting until now for them to go out on their own and become their own kings and queens and stuff, for their characters to actually sort of matter really in the bigger picture. So yeah, Shizuku can suck from a distance. I didn't know that. I thought there had to be some, like, sort of connection there. I mean, when she sucked up all the fucking mafia blood back at the auction or whatnot, like, it was clearly like it was just a massive puddle of blood, and they were all connected to all the different bodies and stuff, so it was all connected. Whereas that is just like sucking from a distance, you know, which I guess that is like her special ability. Like, I mean, it's not as flashy as some of the others. It just makes me wonder if Shizuku has anything else up her sleeve that we haven't seen yet. Because it was like kind of vanilla, just being able to suck from a distance, you know? And also the fact that, like, I feel like she struggled more than the other ones did. You know, but I mean, well, I suppose you could say that Shalnark did as well, but it's just one of those things, just being caught off guard in a way, and it just depends on who you're kind of up against. I mean, that guy, the spider dude, was her like #1 bodyguard, right? So, you know, he's probably, you know, he was probably more powerful than the other ones, but yeah. I was asking as well, I was wondering if just by sucking out all the blood it would kill him, because you know, Kite had said, like, quite a few episodes ago that, you know, you need to destroy the brain and whatnot, and I suppose sucking blood from it would, because it's just like, in a way it's kind of the same thing. If there's no, like, you know, blood really circulating through there, then it's pretty much, it's not doing anything. You know what I mean? It'll just become dormant. So I guess it makes sense. Right, what else? Kaluto, he was surprised by the speed and the sort of the fact of, he's so far behind, the likes of the Phantom Troop, and thinking that he was sort of like on another level, or better than them, or at least in some regard like level. But no, that's clearly not the case. And I'm guessing it's just inexperience, really, because he's still quite young. So, but the interesting thing was, he was wanting to become number 2, and somehow that would relate into getting Killua back, which is interesting. So Kaluto does have this sort of the more nicer side, I suppose, with her brother than I said her again, with his brother, than some of the other ones, like Milky, or I would say Illumi doesn't. I don't think. I mean, there might be something there, but the way Illumi is, he almost just has no emotion whatsoever. I think the mother does, but again, it's more like controlling kind of thing. But it's interesting, like Kaluto wanting to. Although that, I suppose, when we had that little mini arc at the Zoldyck family estate, Kaluto was the one that was beside his mother, right? All the time. And the mother was trying to keep Killua there. So I suppose Kaluto probably gets that from like the mother, and he's probably taken that from her. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know what how that sort of. I don't know how becoming number two of the Phantom Troop sort of means that he can get Killua back. I'm always going to think of Kaluto as a girl. For God's sake, anime, why does it do this? Why can't it just be so simple as to just fucking have them look like a boy or a girl? How hard is it? Anyway, yeah, I don't know how that in turn. I mean, we know that Illumi was in cahoots with the Phantom Troop like a while ago. And by, I think it's pretty obvious that by, like, Illumi has sent Kaluto into there, and for some reason that relates into getting Killua back. I can understand why Illumi would want to get Killua back, because, to keep that sort of control thing going. And I don't know, maybe whether maybe Illumi he wants to keep Killua under control so that he doesn't surpass him, because obviously Killua's like the special child that has the most potential. And if Illumi wants to sort of keep that under wraps and keep him from getting above Illumi, then maybe that's what it is. But yeah, still, I don't know how becoming number 2 of the Phantom Troop helps getting Killua back. Like, surely you could be able to get him back without that happening, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Zazan transformed, and I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that worked. I don't know if it's just a case of like I suppose it probably has something to do with the fact of their quick evolution kind of thing that the Chimerans have. And I think it has to do with the fact that she ripped off her tail, therefore she wasn't a scorpion anymore. So maybe when she was birthed, she had other things in her that wasn't just a scorpion. And because she ripped off her tail, she was no longer a scorpion anymore. She was able to sort of quickly evolve into another part of her DNA, maybe. I would have to assume that must have been what it was. Not that it really helped. It's but it's not surprising considering that the fact that Phaeton, like, I love the aura. Like, by the way, the color palette was really nice. I like the sort of aqua, like tealy blue outline with like the red inside. And also the red had like skulls and shit coming off it. Because yeah, if it's anyone out with the Phantom Troop, Phaeton kind of just has that sort of innate look and feel about him that he is like the evil one. But yeah, Heat of the Sun. So we've got Heat of the Sun, and then we've got Bonolenov, who has the Jupiter attack. We're gonna get like, throughout the whole of the Phantom Troop is just different planets, and that's their attacks. I don't know, but yeah, Heat of the Sun's probably the most devastating, I'd imagine, out of those. And he said that that wasn't even at full power. He just wanted to do it to make her suffer more. So he put it at the right amount of heat where it would cause a longer death, as opposed to just having it in full fucking, like, at full force. Heat of the Sun, like Icarus, you just wouldn't feel it. You'd just be dead because you're just that close to the sun. I'd have to assume as well that the armor that Phaeton sort of was wearing there, that must have been what was saving him from the heat. Because I feel like, even though he's the one, like, obviously he's the one that is working this ability, I still feel like that kind of heat would still affect him, But yeah, so yeah, the thingies were the Chimera ants that had been transformed from humans. Yeah, I was right then. That in some regard they were still in there, but they were under the will of Zazan, so they couldn't really do anything. And once the Queen had died, they didn't transform back, but they weren't under the will anymore. So yeah, it was just, like I said in the reaction, just a fate worse than death. But yeah, I was right. Like, that's a worse way for them to become Chimera ants and just getting eaten, dying, and then coming back. So yeah, but it's all right because they were put out of their misery eventually. And yeah, finally the 9 days until the presentation of the humans for the meat plantation thing, which I mean, I'd have to assume that it wouldn't get to that stage. They let the king be born, even though their goal was to stop that from happening, and they failed. I don't think they're going to allow this to happen. I mean, they've already got the plan in place, and that was, God knows how many days that was ago. It's 9 days from now, so they've got that too. They've got that amount of time, I assume, to distract the royal guards and stuff and get them away from each other, so you can have these 2-on-1 battles. And yeah, so I feel like they'll manage that. The question is of how do they do it? I don't know, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, that's all I've got. So yeah, it was really, really nice to have like these 2 episodes just revolve around the Phantom Troop and them sort of saving their hometown, and getting to see them with, like, abilities that we haven't seen before. So yeah, it was a nice couple of episodes there to sort of just deviate from the fact of go and kill her, because we have been hanging around with them for a long time now, like so long to the point where we haven't even been with any other characters. Like, we haven't even been with like Kurapika or Leorio. We haven't even seen what they've been doing for the past fucking, I imagine Kurapika's still hanging out with the Nostrade family and whatnot, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? So yeah, it's nice to sort of deviate and have a look at some of the other characters and see what they're up to. So yeah, that's all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I've linked certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there. And I also have a Patreon page as well, so if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards, depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier, $5 a month, gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunt x Hunt every week. That's 2 on Monday and 2 on Friday, as opposed to this week, actually, because Patreons are getting 3... they're getting 6 episodes this week. But that doesn't matter, because by the time this episode comes out on YouTube for the general public anyway, you can go over, become an early access tier patron, and have access to the rest of the show in reaction. So if you can binge watch the whole show within a month, then it's only going to cost you $5 for the rest of the show in reaction. So it's a pretty good deal. There's also full length there for $10 a month. Gives you access, to the full length reactions. It doesn't really matter for this show because this show's full length anyway. But for other shows, you will need that. And then there's other tiers where you can pay to have a show reacted to. So if you want me to react to a certain show, go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. But that is all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.